This happened 3 years ago, and I still don't like talking about it. At the time, I was working as a night security guard at a newly opened apartment complex on the edge of the city. It wasn't some huge high-rise downtown. It was one of those modern 4-story buildings with underground parking, keycard access, and long, echoing hallways that always felt emptier than they actually were. My shift started at 10 p.m. and ended at 6 a.m. The job was simple: sit in the security room, watch the monitors, do a patrol every hour, log anything unusual. Most nights were boring. Residents would come home late, maybe a couple would argue in the parking lot. Sometimes someone would forget their keycard and call me to let them in. Nothing dramatic. Until that Tuesday night. It was unusually quiet. No wind, no traffic noise. Even the usual late-night tenants hadn't come in yet. Around 1:47 a.m., one of the monitors flickered. Just for a second. I leaned forward in my chair. Camera 12, the underground parking garage. The screen glitched again, then stabilized. And that's when I saw him. A man, standing near one of the concrete pillars. He wasn't near a car, wasn't on his phone, wasn't moving, just standing there. I checked the live timestamp. It was real-time footage. I hadn't seen any car enter the garage in the last 20 minutes. I rewound the footage. No car entering, no pedestrian walking in. The camera feed showed an empty garage. Then, suddenly, he was just there, standing. I told myself maybe I missed it. Maybe he walked in during patrol. Maybe the camera skipped. So I grabbed my flashlight and radio and headed down to check. The elevator ride felt longer than usual. When the doors opened to the garage level, it was dead silent. I stepped out slowly. The concrete amplified every footstep I took. I walked toward the pillar where I'd seen him. No one there. I did a full sweep of the garage. Nothing. No running footsteps, no car engine starting, no exit gate triggered. I went back upstairs, feeling slightly embarrassed at how nervous I'd been. When I sat back down in front of the monitors, he was there again. Same pillar, same posture, facing the camera. I felt my stomach drop. I hadn't heard the garage door open. I hadn't heard footsteps. And I had just been down there. This time, I zoomed in. The camera quality wasn't great, but I could see enough. He looked wrong. Not physically deformed, just wrong.
His clothes looked outdated. Dark jacket, loose pants, almost like something from the early 2000s. But the strangest part, he wasn't blinking. I watched him for a full minute. No movement, no shift in weight, nothing. Then, slowly, his head tilted. Not naturally, it jerked slightly to one side as if someone had grabbed it and forced it at an angle. And he was still staring directly into the camera. I grabbed my radio to call the building manager. Then I noticed something that made my hands go cold. Camera 12 was no longer showing the parking garage. It was showing me. The angle was from inside the security room, directly behind my chair. I froze. Very slowly, I turned around. There was nothing behind me, just the empty hallway outside the glass security window. I looked back at the monitor. The screen flickered. Garage again. The pillar was empty. I didn't do another patrol after that. I stayed in the security room with the door locked. At 3:12 a.m., camera 7 triggered motion detection. That camera faced the third-floor hallway. I pulled it up. There he was again, standing outside apartment 3B. 3B was vacant. No tenant had moved in yet. He wasn't knocking, wasn't moving, just standing inches from the door. Then, slowly, he raised his hand and knocked once. The sound echoed faintly through the monitor's audio feed, a hollow wooden knock. The hair on my arms stood up. There was no one inside that apartment, no one to answer. But after a few seconds, the door opened, just slightly, from the inside. I swear to you, no one lived there. I had the vacancy list in front of me. The door opened maybe 3 inches. Darkness inside. The man stepped forward and walked in. The door closed. I immediately called the police. I didn't care how crazy I sounded. I told them someone had broken into a vacant unit. They arrived about 15 minutes later. 2 officers went up with me. Apartment 3B's door was closed, locked. No sign of forced entry. They unlocked it with the master key. We searched the entire apartment.
Empty. No footprints. No open windows. No balcony access from outside. Nothing. I showed them the footage, and this is the part that still messes with me. On the recording, there was no man. Camera 12 showed an empty garage. Camera 7 showed an empty hallway. No knocking, no door opening. The timestamp matched the time I called them, but the footage was clean. The officers gave me that look, the one that says they think you're stressed or unstable. They left after filing a minor report. I quit the next day. About a month later, I ran into one of the residents at a grocery store. He recognized me and asked why I left. I told him I found a better job. Then he said something I'll never forget. Yeah, that 3rd floor hallway always felt weird anyway. I asked what he meant. He said when the building was under construction, a worker died, fell down the elevator shaft. They say his body wasn't found for almost a full day. Guess which floor he had been working on? The 3rd. I don't know what I saw that night. I don't know if it was stress, fatigue, or something else. But I still have one thing saved on my phone, a photo I took of the monitor at 1:47 a.m. because I wanted proof I wasn't crazy. In that picture, you can see him standing in the garage, facing the camera. And if you zoom in close enough, he isn't looking at the lens. He's looking slightly to the left, as if he's watching someone standing behind me.
This happened 4 years ago, and I've never worked another night shift since. At the time, I was driving for a rideshare app. It wasn't my main job, just something I did on weekends for extra money. Friday and Saturday nights were the busiest. Drunk college students, late flights, couples arguing quietly in the back seat. Nothing unusual. Until one ride at 2:18 a.m. I remember the time clearly because I almost declined it. The pickup location was strange. No house number, no business name, just a pin dropped near an old stretch of road by the river. There weren't any streetlights there. I almost canceled. But it was a long ride, good money, so I went. As I got closer, my GPS glitched. The map froze, then recalculated, then froze again. I finally saw someone standing on the side of the road. A man, alone. No car nearby. No house lights in the distance. Just him, standing under the faint glow of my headlights. He didn't wave, didn't step forward, just waited. I rolled down my window slightly. "You order a ride?" He nodded once. Didn't smile. Didn't say hello. He opened the back door and got in. The air inside changed instantly. Colder. Not dramatic, just noticeable. I confirmed the name on the app. It matched. The destination was across town, about 35 minutes away. As we started driving, I tried making small talk. Long night? No answer. I checked the rearview mirror. He was staring straight ahead. Not at me, not at his phone, just forward. Hands resting on his knees. Perfect posture. Too still. I turned the radio on quietly. Static. Every station. Which didn't make sense. I had perfect signal all night. I turned it off. About 10 minutes into the ride, I noticed something strange. The GPS route kept recalculating. It would show one path, then reroute again, as if the destination was moving. I asked him, "Did you change the drop-off?" No response. That's when I realized something else. The app no longer showed his profile picture. Just a gray circle. No rating, no ride history. I felt uneasy, but I kept driving. Then he spoke, very softly. "You missed the turn." I looked at the map. I hadn't. The route was straight ahead. "I'm following the GPS," I said. Silence. Then, "You're going the wrong way." His voice didn't sound angry, just certain. I glanced in the mirror again, and my stomach dropped. He wasn't looking forward anymore. He was looking directly at me, through the mirror, unblinking. I looked back at the road quickly. My heart was pounding now. "I'll just follow the app," I muttered. Then suddenly, the app shut off. The entire screen went black. My dashboard lights flickered. For half a second, the headlights dimmed. And in that moment of near darkness, I heard him whisper, "Stop the car." I didn't. I pressed the gas harder. The headlights came back fully. The screen rebooted, and the back seat was empty. The door hadn't opened. No sound. No notification of ride cancellation. Nothing. I pulled over immediately. Checked the back seat. Empty. I checked the app. Still active. Timer running. Passenger still listed, but there was no one there. Then the app updated. Drop-off location changed to where I originally picked him up. Same empty road by the river. I ended the ride manually. I drove straight home. The next morning, I checked my ride history. That trip wasn't there. No record of it. No payment. Nothing. I contacted support. They said there was no ride at that time. But I still have one thing saved. A dash cam clip. At 2:29 a.m. You can see the back seat clearly in the video. It's empty, but the seat belt on the right side is stretched tight, as if someone is sitting there. And right before the video cuts off, you hear a voice from the back. Soft, close to the camera. "You still went the wrong way." I deleted the app that night, and I never drove again. I worked in a private care facility 3 years ago. Small building, only 12 patient rooms, mostly elderly residents. My shift was 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. Night shifts are quieter, lights dimmed, hallways empty, just the hum of medical equipment. Room 14 was at the very end of the hall. It had been empty for 2 weeks. The previous resident had passed away. Natural causes. At least that's what we were told. The first strange thing happened at 12:36 a.m. The call light for room 14 turned on. I frowned at the nurse's station. That room was unoccupied. I assumed it was a wiring issue, so I walked down the hallway. The building felt colder near the end. Room 14's door was slightly open, which was strange. I was sure it had been closed. I pushed it open. The room was dark. Empty bed. Curtains still.
Call button hanging beside the bed. I checked the button. It wasn't pressed. I went back to the station. 5 minutes later, the call light turned on again. Room 14. This time, I felt irritated. I walked faster, opened the door immediately. Empty. But the bathroom light inside the room was on. I know for a fact it hadn't been. I stepped inside fully. "Hello," I called out. Nothing. I checked the bathroom. Empty. But the mirror was fogged, like someone had just taken a hot shower, which was impossible. The water hadn't been used. I told myself it was stress, fatigue. Around 2:03 a.m., something worse happened. Every room has a motion sensor that logs movement. On the system screen at the station, I saw it. Room 14, motion detected. I stared at the screen. The sensor triggered again, then again, as if someone was walking back and forth. I didn't want to go back, but I had to. When I reached the door this time, I heard it. Breathing. Slow. Labored. From inside the room. I froze. Room 14 had oxygen equipment still stored near the wall, and the sound matched that pattern. Inhale. Mechanical pause. Exhale. But no machine was plugged in. I pushed the door open slowly. The bed sheets were no longer smooth. They were slightly indented, as if someone was lying there. The breathing continued. I couldn't see anyone, but the mattress dipped deeper, right in front of me, like weight shifting. I backed up slowly. The breathing stopped instantly, and the indentation disappeared. I reported everything to the supervisor the next morning. She looked uncomfortable. Then she told me something I didn't know. The patient who died in room 14 didn't pass peacefully. He had pressed the call button repeatedly that night, over and over. But there was a staffing shortage. The nurse assigned to him didn't arrive for almost 40 minutes. By the time someone entered the room, he was gone. After that week, 3 other night staff requested schedule changes. All of them mentioned room 14. I transferred to a different facility soon after, but sometimes, when I'm alone at night, I still hear it. That slow breathing right behind me, waiting for someone to answer the call.